We are live.
Let's get it going. Welcome into the Inside Carolina Live on the Beat podcast. I'm your host, Tommy Ashley, sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt, JohnnyT-Shirt.com. On the Beat means Ross Martin and Adam Smith. Ross Martin and Adam Smith. Ross, it's been a little hectic week, eh?
Yeah, there's a lot going on between the two sports and the transfer portal. It was a busy day yesterday. We were ready. No big surprises, in my opinion, in terms of transfer portal. I think UNC avoided some guys that we had been rumored that were leaving that would not have been good. Avoided some of that in the first day. But this is the coaching carousel season, bowl prep. And of course, transfer portal. It's kind of a wild time, and signing day. I mean, signing day is coming up in 2 weeks as well.
Yeah. So, Adam, what's it been like to be on the beat? Your first go round, and not only the craziness of the past few days, but the crossover season with basketball and football going on at the same time. Sort of let our listeners know the adjustment.
First of all, let me apologize. My glasses are fogged up. I don't know if you can tell.
What have you? I don't even want to know.
I was just hustling out of the shower. I got a little run in this evening, and I'm wet over here. I apologize for my appearance. I'm moist. It's not a pretty sight at this age, guys. Ross and John, hold on to it as long as you can. Ross, your hair looks amazing. Well, Tommy, I mean, this is not my first rodeo here, buddy. But
with Inside Carolina,
yeah, I'm just messing with you. That's pretty busy. I mean, I'm extremely thankful that we have the team that we do because, like Ross said, I mean, I think that with Ben Sherman behind the controls, I think that we've been prepared. Hopefully, I'm probably setting us up for failure now, but it's been busy. I mean, we've been all over the place, obviously, with football and basketball. I think it was 4 different states I covered a game in the last 7 days, which was fine. It's fun. Carolina hadn't been playing great in either of those sports, but we're getting a little break here with football. Catching our breath here, but the transfer portal is cooking. The coaching rumor mill is cooking. So we'll see what happens.
The key is, though, we are still here. We're still live on a Tuesday night. On the Beat Live does not go away regardless of the result. I think we should spend the first part of the show, kind of as we have this whole fall. We should talk a little bit about football for the first half of the show. So if you're in the chat, feel free to send any questions in that you have about football. And then the second half of the show, we'll address basketball and what is going on with the Carolina basketball team. So I want to start with the transfer portal. This is on the Beat Live. Ross and Adam, the first thing I want to know, logistics. Tell me how you find out that someone is in the transfer portal. Give our readers, our viewers, a little bit of insight into how that process works on your end. Not necessarily what your sources are saying, perhaps, but when do you see someone's name in the portal? What's that process like? Are you like Command F North Carolina in the transfer portal, just refreshing all day to see who's in there?
Adam?
Ross, you want to take that one?
Adam's not been involved in the transfer portal because he has been working hard out there on the road. There's a guy. I don't know if he's saying this. There's a guy with 24/7 Sports who just tells us. So he has access to it. I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's his actual portal or what. But half of those yesterday we found out through, and Sunday we found out through just the kid. The kid announced it himself. So then you can make the article be like, Jacoby Criswell has announced that he intends to enter the portal, and then his name went in like Monday or something. So sometimes you find out through the kid that he intends to go in. Sometimes you find out that he's officially in through this guy that works at 24/7 Sports who just somehow has access to it. I've never even seen it. I don't even know what it looks like, but that's it. But then, it's sourced. I mean, we knew about Grimes pretty early on, a couple of weeks ago, that was a possibility. Criswell, kind of the writing was on the wall, so that we had that ready. We had Grimes ready, and then we heard, we heard a couple weeks ago that he was trying to transfer kind of when the season was still going on. So we had that ready. He had a little change of heart. So those are the 3 articles he wrote, and then we had the running tracker that we've been updating.
Yeah, I'm looking at your article here. There's 10 names so far confirmed UNC transfer portal entries. I actually want to get Tommy's take here. I'm curious, Tommy. Of those 10 names, were there any surprises for you? Someone who is locked into this team as much as anyone, or were there pretty much, exactly what you expected after the first few days of the transfer portal?
No, I mean nothing there is unexpected. Guys want to play, and Kendall Carr, Tamir Brown, those type guys. They're young. They hadn't had opportunity. Dontavis Nash, Rah too. Even though it'll be interesting to see where he winds up. But Criswell, he's got to go. He's not going to stick around not in this world. You don't stick around for 2 years. It is interesting. Ross had. You were talking about Mitch. You and Schott were talking about Mitch, and Mitch sat around for, I guess, 3 years for his opportunity to play, and it worked out. So sometimes sitting and waiting works. I mean, Tony Grimes, that writing was on the wall. I don't think any of them are what I wouldn't do if I was a player. I would if I was close to getting a degree, I would stick it out until I got the degree, and then they can go. And as far as I'm concerned, and you guys may feel differently, if somebody comes to Carolina or goes to any school and gets a degree, they've done their requirement, I think, for a scholarship. Granted, we talk about coaches can leave and come and go as they wish and all, but if you go and you get a degree, then you've done your thing. So I can't blame anybody. You're only 18 to 22 once, and you don't want to sit back like we do going, man, in my day, I wish I'd have played, blah, blah, blah. So no surprises. I have a feeling it's not done yet. That's not sourced, but there's a lot of the window's open until like January, right, Ross?
Mm-hmm. We have an article there, January 18th.
It's a 45-day window.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. And then it opens again in May, I think, kind of after spring practice, and I guess after the semester. So I think there'll be another wave. Ben and I were talking about this. I think there's going to be another wave after spring practice. You may see some more kids. And even after that semester, people want to graduate, things like that. Some names that I had ready to go that did not announce were just, keep these guys in mind. I mean, like Malik McGowan. I mean, you never heard him play. Let's see who else. I mean, Keyshawn Silver, I thought would maybe be a candidate. Kedrick Benningley-Jones. Seems like they're staying at least for the spring. Gabe Stevens. I mean, he didn't play a snap. He hasn't played a snap in 2 seasons he's been here. So some of these guys just need fresh starts. And then there's also some linemen, but linemen usually take a while to develop. A guy who hasn't played in 3 years, he can still end up being a starter in his 4th and 5th year. Obi Agbuna is another guy, and Justin Olson is another name I had written down. Just guys to keep an eye on. Not saying anything there. Don't really know much, but those are just names. When you look at the roster, just think about people who haven't played that you think might want to go someplace else and play.
Yeah. This is
Egbuna. Mac loves Egbuna.
He's a good special teams player. Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, maybe he wants to play. You never know what these kids' motivations are. You're right, Tommy. If I was a player, I'd want to graduate. I'd want to get my degree in 3.5 years and graduate. Some of these kids want to just play. Some of these guys have NFL aspirations. I would graduate and then go someplace and just play for a year or 2 just to say I played.
Yeah, what gets me about it is, and I'm sure, 700 plus entered the portal yesterday or Monday. These guys go in and it's like they vanish. I tweeted it out. It's like manifest. They go into the portal, some of them, and then they disappear. You never hear of them again. And sometimes the grass is not always greener. I get it. They want to play, but I just can't imagine if there's going to be 1,500, 2,000 kids in the portal, they're not all going to get spots. I mean, it's fascinating to see how the urge to play or to get a fresh start, quote unquote, fresh start, can lead to vanishing and working and having to get a job without a college degree, which is, to my point, and then Ross, you just echoed it. That's why I would get a degree before I left.
But you got to try. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know if you don't try. I mean, not to defend anyone's decision about the portal, but I mean, look how it worked out with Brady Manick. I mean, there are portal success stories. Jalen.
How many portal people? Those are grad transfers. Jalen Hurts, not a grad transfer, but Manning, a grad transfer. Which, speaking of that, we can talk about it in the basketball thing. I watched Michael Mayer a little bit earlier for Illinois. That dude's tearing it up.
He's having a good game.
Yeah, but you've got guys that grad transfer. I think grad transfer versus straight out transfer is a little different. I think a lot more of those are successful. Maybe somebody can do some research on that. But anyway, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up our first question of the night. This is from Matt. He writes, will any portal entries actually play in the bowl given Mac's statement about portal entries playing? I don't know, Adam, if you could provide any context there about what Mac has said throughout the season, and when are we going to hear from Mac next? When's his next press conference? When might we know about some of these players who might play in the bowl game?
We might not hear from Mac again until signing day, which is the 21st of December. Not sure about that. We might hear from him before. I think when they go out to San Diego, Ross, the 23rd, I think they go out to the bowl is what we've heard. Well, I mean, we know, Cam Kelly said he's going to play. Cam Kelly made his announcement. He had the graphic and he said he's going to get in the portal, but he's also going to play. We have heard, I've got a list over here. We've heard that Jaleel Taylor is going to play. We've heard that Dontavius Nash is going to play in the bowl game. We have also heard that Ra is not playing. Chris Collins is not playing. And Jacoby Criswell is gone. So you would have Connor Harrell would be the backup quarterback, I guess, for the bowl game. And then I assume Jefferson Boaz would be number 3 in line there. But so Mac, I mean, Mac has been very transparent about this. And also, just to add to what we've been talking about, I have seen what the portal looks like in my previous life. It's nothing. When I saw it, I don't know if it's changed. It was nothing fancy. It's like a huge spreadsheet. It is not sexy, but it is a massive spreadsheet. And, just names and places and heights and weights and positions. But Mac has been very transparent, or at least he has with us. That's what he said. They've said, if you want to play with us, you can play. You can tell us you're going somewhere and we won't, act any different towards you, act like you've got a scarlet letter on your chest or anything like that. So
I think Mac has handled the transfer portal great in terms of players leaving UNC. Super honest. Hey, you're upset. You're not playing. Come. We'll help you find a place. And he's found people places. I think he's been very honest, been very truthful and transparent, and letting them play is even another level to that. Look, it's not like we're enemies. It's just, it didn't work out and you want to play, we get it, and transfer. I mean, I'd be interested to see, why a guy like Cam Kelly, he'd be a grad transfer, I imagine. Some of these guys, interested in why they want to transfer. I don't know, maybe just for a fresh start. I mean, some of these guys have been here forever. Like DeAndre Hollins, Jaleel Taylor, and Chris Collins are all Fedora recruits. That's how old they are. They're still going to try to get a 5th or 6th year. So, yeah.
I don't know if I'm not a coach, but I'm not so sure about playing in the bowl game if you put your name in the portal.
Just to add to what Ross was saying, it made me think about it as he was talking about it. Ross and I were talking about it on those videos we would do on Mondays, in September, because you remember Max said, their first bye week that hit before they played Notre Dame after they opened 3-0, they were having conversations with guys, he said, where the position coaches were supposed to be having conversation with guys who had or had not played, because we're getting to that 4-game threshold where you can't play more than 4 games in redshirt or whatever. So, if we take Mac at his word, they've been talking about this for months now.
It's kind of I agree. Mac's been transparent. It seems to be the case. He certainly talks about it a lot, about that transparency. I just don't know about, you got guys that are on the team that are going to be there past the end of that bowl game. They need to get those reps. I don't know. Maybe that's just the old school.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Tommy. You want to get the kids that are actually going to be there next year to start getting practice reps.
Yeah, and I don't want to. It's kind of like, well, I can't say it that way, but it's a way to get guys that are going to be there in the spring good reps and good game action. I mean, it's a good ball game. They're playing Oregon. And I just saw a tweet that said Bo Nix is playing. So, Oregon's going to they'll have some opt-outs, as I'm sure Carolina will at some point, but they've got to get these young guys reps. And I'm not sure about prepping guys for their next job or their next place. But Mac is adamant about it, and we'll see how it shakes out. I'm not sure I'd want to play if I were a guy that put my name in the portal. But John,
it's Will Hardy season.
Hey, that guy's going to be playing for Carolina for 4 years because I thought he earned his spot. That is interesting.
He might be in the NFL in 2 years. Just kidding.
Valid.
He had 13 tackles Saturday night.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he played great.
He was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, smart, hard worker. First in, last out.
Let me hold on a second. Let's hold on a second. John Kramer, since you yelled the question, I'll put it up here. This will be an interesting one.
You have to yell it as you're reading it, Tom.
Yeah. Is it coaching when a 5-star player never pans out? It's kind of like the old, pardon my language, the asshole in the room. If you walk into a room and you meet one, it's probably one. If you walk in the room and you meet and everybody in there is that, then you're probably the bad guy. Point being is if you have one 5-star that does not pan out, then it's probably just an issue. But if you have multiple 4 and 5 stars, Ross, this is a debate that has been raging on the Inside Carolina message boards about guys panning out. Are they all good, especially on the defensive line? Where you stand here as far as this question? I think it's individual player, but I want to get your take.
That's a tough one. I mean, I think there's been, a track record of a lack of development on the defensive side of the ball, and that falls on the coaches and the developmental system. The best Tony Grimes we saw was Miami and Texas A&M, right?
Yeah,
and
Texas
he's got
his best game. Plenty
of reps. He has 1 interception, came his freshman year. He was pretty good against Notre Dame his freshman year, and From then, it's been a steady decline, in my opinion. I think there's some developmental issues on the defensive line as well. Those would be the 2 areas I would focus in on for development and getting these kids better, because you would think some of these guys would be, a little better than you've seen. Ja'Varri Ritchie's been better, Cameron Rucker's been better, but as a whole, they haven't gotten to where I think they need to be given the hype. I mean, that's just, we've read this. This has been a theme on the boards for years. And some of these kids are just busts. I'm not saying Tony's a bust, but these kids get ranked, and it's not a perfect system. I mean, not every 5-star becomes a first-round draft pick. That's how the star system's done. If there's 32 5-stars for the 32 first-round picks, that's how they're ranked. So, but they're not always. You see it in basketball, you see it in football. So it doesn't always fall on the player, but some of these kids are overranked. I don't know. I mean, Tony Grimes will be a all-time UNC, situation. Like, he'll be remembered forever just because of how much hype he had. I remember exactly where I was when he committed. I was in Connecticut at my now ex-girlfriend's house during COVID, and we wrote like 12 articles that day because it was the biggest recruit since Marvin Austin. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in that basement, and it was hard of COVID. Because that's why he enrolled early, because they were canceling football in Virginia for the 2020 season. So he got to campus in August and committed in June or July. And I remember we cranked out content just like with G.T. Jackson. I mean, you do every little bit of content. And so it's an all-time, kind of disappointing thing. And look, we've had Coach Glover, friend of the show. He's been on probably 5 Inside Carolina podcasts. Y'all had him on the beat, Tommy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We had him. I think we had him twice on the scoop.
It's crazy.
I have his phone number. I mean, I would consider him a friend.
Have you talked to him this week?
No, I talked to him before the game, the Clemson game. I've not reached out now. Apparently, dozens of teams have reached out to Tony already.
Yeah, he tweeted there's like 50+ offers or something. Mm-hmm. It's crazy for those guys. I think, and this is something people miss, and this is a debate for a different show, but COVID changed the game. And this transfer portal and this NIL stuff is a perfect storm of COVID and NCAA incompetence and money. And what you have, when I say COVID, I mean these guys didn't play or they didn't play very little. So they got these high rankings. And I'm not saying anything about Grimes specifically. I'm talking about in general. All these guys misevaluated. You had a lot of guys that maybe weren't as good as they said they were, or thought they were, or they were better than they thought, and they went to different schools. And so it's all leveling out, but it's still a result of COVID, I think, and the aftermath of COVID. Um, and good for them. Go wherever they want. The coaches can do what they want to do and go wherever they want. And they can make all the money. Then the players ought to as well. I'd much prefer there be some sort of tie and you not be able to transfer freely. I mean, look at Jerkovic from Pitt going to Pitt after being at Boston College, then after being at Notre Dame, and then Keaton Slovis goes from USC to Pitt, and now he's going somewhere else. I mean, it's just ridiculous how these guys move around. You ought to get one free pass, and that includes your grad year. But anyway, free for all for sure. I see that in the chat too, Ross. I see Zachary Small saying Grimes going to Colorado. Good for him. That's going to be interesting to see if Deion Sanders can win in Colorado.
I think he ends up at Virginia Tech.
That would be look, people want, and we can talk about the fan irateness and the fan anger and message board posting and all that kind of stuff. Go back and read what the Virginia schools said about that guy when he committed to North Carolina. I mean, it was brutal.
I like
one
UNC
more-
Tar down there with he coming. That's well done, UNC Tar 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming. He's bringing Louis too. There you go.
What's that? What's the he coming part?
That's Deion's mantra.
Yeah, you need to watch the video.
Yeah,
He spoke to the team.
I got the Louis thing. That was funny.
I'm coming.
Did you
I
see
got
the
my own luggage? And it's Louis.
The Colorado quarterback, the current Colorado quarterback, literally jumped in the portal like 30 seconds after that meeting.
Is Deion's son the quarterback? Is that
He will be? Yeah,
He's quarterback at Jackson State. He's good.
I had no idea. Yeah,
he's very good. Shadur Sanders. But yeah,
He's a
he was
player.
like, "We got some positions coming. That's your quarterback."
Yeah, he did.
His name is, say his name again. Shooter.
Shadur. I think
Shador.
it's SHADD.
John, you should name your first son that.
If he could play like that, I would have no problem with it. But yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech's had some turnover. They got new coaching staff and all that stuff. So it's just going to be the Wild West. But I do think it's just a sort of a confluence of events coming together here this year, and we'll see what happens.
Should we talk about the Clemson game or anything, or stay in the program type stuff? What do you want to do?
Let's do it.
I was going to bring that up as well because there's a good comment here from Bull Heel. I think it fits in a little bit with Greg's column, which is also on InsideCarolina.com. So Bull Heel, welcome back, by the way. Sorry, I blocked
John's sucking up to him now because
yeah, I know. I feel
Bull
bad.
here last week.
He sent a note to the principal demanding to be freed.
I got in big trouble for that. But Bull Heel says, I'll admit I'm very down about our football program. I feel like it's a fan base in conflict a little bit because this is both one of the most successful UNC football seasons in the last 25 years, arguably. And also, it's not good enough. It is not good enough given the talent on the roster. And I was thinking about this after listening to your show on Sunday, Tommy, driving back from Charlotte, especially for someone who is my age. I'm probably the closest here in terms of age to the players. UNC has won 9 games, more than 9 games, essentially twice since I've been alive. If you start in the 1998 season, you go year by year with UNC's record. They've won 9 games only twice, the famous season in 2015 and then this year. So when I look at it, with maybe a little bit less perspective about Mac 1.0 or Dick Crum or Charlie Choo Choo Justice, whoever, I mean, you have to,
come on now.
well, the legends, of course, that I know a lot about from research, but you have to look at this season from someone like myself in a positive light because UNC is reaching these positive heights that they haven't reached before. 9 wins is a big accomplishment for UNC football program. And yet, it feels like not good enough. So I guess the question to distill this all down to ask you three, Has UNC's football season been a success so far? I'll start with you, Adam. Why or why not?
It's absolutely been a success. I mean, they won the Coastal, and they went to the ACC championship game. But yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to feel the both ways about it because of the path that the season took. It obviously opened and unlocked doors to a lot of things. I mean, I was sitting here thinking after they beat Wake Forest, this team's going to be 11-1 going to the conference championship game. I mean, I honestly thought that. I thought they would beat Georgia Tech. I didn't think that'd be a problem, and I thought the NC State game would be close, but I thought they were better than NC State, particularly with the injuries at quarterback to State. I thought it'd be 11-1 going to the ACC championship game, and I thought they would lose to Clemson in the ACC championship game, but it's still been a success. I mean, if you go back to August, we didn't know who the starting quarterback would be. We thought it would be Drake May, but we still didn't know who it was going to be. There's no way we could have in any way predicted what he would be right out of the box. I think you have to call it success, but I think you have to also acknowledge the fact that it's accurate probably to feel let down and bummed out like our guy or girl Bull Hill is over here. He, she, they.
Bulls or boys?
How many women do you think are watching this right now?
There's a few.
I don't know. I wanted to be all inclusive here.
I know. I'm curious.
It's a good question. Maybe you can run the numbers on that. But I mean, and the way in which these 3 games have been lost, you can also understand, and I think it's accurate, the disappointment. They're up 17-0 on Georgia Tech. The offense that has been high flying is sort of, gone off a cliff a little bit. Drake May's got more interceptions than touchdowns the last 3 games. I get it. But they did get to 9 wins. Yeah, and they got a chance to win 10 games. There's Tina Williams. Look at that.
What's to say if they don't lose to Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I agree with that. Sorry, Tommy.
No, you go ahead because I'm going to comment a little bit more about Greg's article and some things.
I think with the Clemson loss, you're not expecting them to beat Clemson, but I think losing Georgia Tech and State was a disappointing aspect. The thing that Adam's gotten to here, successful season, but the standards changed once we saw how good Drake was, and that's why people were so disappointed. Because, like Adam said, we thought it was going to be 11-1, and now you kind of 3 straight losses limping into the bowl game. I don't think people are very excited. There's not too many fans there just because of geography. And I think, a little bit of what Greg's article got into was the fact that the easy schedule, their defense just wasn't as good as I don't know how he phrased it, but they weren't as good as their record. They really weren't as good as their record.
The advanced metrics specifically.
Yeah, like the defense was not good. The offense was not good in the last 3 games. I just think losing State 2 years in a row is very disappointing. And I think there's questions with the fan base right now about where the staff is going. People want defensive staff changes. People wondering how long Mac is going to still be there. You have lack of development in certain position groups, and I think that is concerning to a lot of fans. Tommy?
Greg's article is based on obviously on the message boards and the anger there, but also the press conference before the ACC championship game, which on the threads I saw a lot of people saying whatever. I was there. I was sitting beside Andrew Jones over at Tar Heel Illustrated. His question was about the anger, and that's what got Mac fired up. Ross, your point about expectations are not static. Right. If we go by the mantra that Carolina is an 8-win program, then 9 wins is a great year. And I think when you look back on it, folks will forget how they ended up. They'll remember the 9 wins, or at least remember. You'll see that in the record books. But the bottom line is to the point about that. Drake May drugged this team with some crazy heroics that we haven't seen in a Carolina uniform to those 9 wins. Granted, it's a team sport, but let's be real. If Drake May wasn't the quarterback, they wouldn't have won 9 games. And so that's how it ended. How it ended is the disappointing part for people. They're 0-4 in the last 2 years versus Georgia Tech and NC State. And that's the one thing that was my point is Mac at Texas losing to Oklahoma, Texas fans don't care anything else about it. Unless you win a national championship, you win a national championship, then the loss to Oklahoma's, they can stomach it, but they're still mad. Same way, it's relatively speaking for North Carolina, but you don't ever want to lose to NC State if you're a North Carolina fan, and so that's why people were fired up. The Georgia Tech game is the egg that everybody was fearing. I think it's a successful season. I mean, 9 wins. It just did not end like it should have, and there's still more to come, right? There's still more fallout from it and a bowl game to play, recruiting and all that stuff. I just think they missed an opportunity. And I asked Mac that, and he didn't like the question. I said, did you not think you left some meat on the bone by losing those 2 games? And he didn't necessarily agree, and it's his prerogative, but I think the opportunity was there to be better than average. And so that's my take on it. And the fans are mad. The fans pay money. I mean, look at all those people in Charlotte, and shout out to a lot of people in this chat that were at the tailgate over there at 1200 Graham Street. They pay a lot of money to this program. I mean, that Blue Zone didn't get built when Mac 1.0 was going on. It got built during Larry Fedora's stuff and the rest of those guys. So, I mean,
Great turnout in Charlotte, right? Like, was the stadium about 55, 45, 50-50?
I was sitting in the end zone and I couldn't see backing around, but there was a ton of Carolina fans there, far, far more than there ever was in 2015. I mean, it wasn't even close.
And it felt like an event, walking in the stadium, you got the Christmas lights downtown, you got the music. Well, it's true. Didn't you think, Ross? I mean, it's
a big time NFL stadium. It's a big time game.
It felt like something was happening. It was cool.
And that is in spite of those 2 games of Georgia Tech. So to think people don't care or think anger is unjustified,
it's a good fan base, man. The fan base is ready for a winner, I think. I mean, that's just a good indication. Selling out home games. I call it the student section a lot because I think the student section leaves too early. But the fan base is big, and I mean, they haven't had a consistent winner ever. Last time, I guess, was Mac in the 90s, right? What was it? 9? How many double-digit win seasons do they have in the 90s, Tommy?
10-2, and then 11-1. After he left after that 11-1 season. Okay. I think maybe in '93
they have three double.
Didn't they go to? Did they go 10-2 in '93? I don't know. I thought it was just they went 20,
92 or 93, and then back to back 97, 98.
Yeah. So I mean, there was some success there, but and Garrett Chapman says right there, I was about to call it up myself. Consistency. I mean, and you can't lose to NC State, not the way you do it, and. You lose to NC State last year on a complete meltdown. You lose to NC State this year on a missed field goal.
Mm-hmm. The quarterback situation. These teams had their 3rd and 4th stringers in there. I mean, that'll make you want to rip your hair out.
And that's why people are mad. Every quarterback that played against NC State, not named whatever the Virginia Tech guy's name is, and Pitt quarterback, had Heisman numbers against North Carolina. And that's why people are upset and mad about it. And if they didn't care, we'd be talking about how there's no money for anything. Well, there's money there because people do care.
Yeah, craving consistency is a great way to put it. I think fans, ready to see 9 and 10 wins again next season. Tougher schedule next season. Clemson on the road, Minnesota. I was looking at South Carolina. I didn't realize they played South Carolina. So we'll be back in Bank of America Stadium next season. Clemson on the road. Who else they have? It's not as easy.
At State, at Clemson.
The Coastal. The Coastal's over, baby. It's no more every season getting, getting Georgia Tech, and getting who else is really? I mean, Virginia Tech. Now you have to go play.
Duke has been down.
Duke, yeah. I mean, now you have to play Wake more often, and Clemson more often, and Florida State, and you get Boston College thrown in there more, Syracuse thrown in there more. But it's a new era, so and consistency is important. And I think the big thing about consistency is coaching staffs. I mean, I think there's this desire to move on from coaches and from Mac, but there's also the fear of, what happens. Look at I'm trying to think of a good example. Look at Texas without Mac. They couldn't find the consistency after he left. Tennessee without Phil Fulmer,
Virginia Tech without Frank Beamer.
Virginia Tech without sometimes the grass is not always greener, but consistency is important. Getting back 8 wins, 9 wins should be the expectation. And I think this program can get to 10 and 11 wins, every other year.
Yep. And people, I always say, watch out what you wish for. And this is directing it back to the fan base is you want people gone, you want things to change and all that. But,
on the Clemson game, I don't know if we haven't really talked about the actual Clemson game. I'm sure all other podcasts have, but man, it's just those 2 turnovers were so big. They were in it. They're moving the ball too. They moved the ball well the whole game, I thought. The fumble on the 20-yard line, and then Clemson scores, and then the pick 6 in the third quarter, and Clemson scores. It could have been 24-17. Instead, it was 32-10, and that's the difference right there. I thought the defense obviously stopped DJ twice, then had trouble with Cade Klubnik, but the offense moved the ball. I just couldn't score in the red zone, and the 2 turnovers were huge. And turnovers are, that's the story of the game right there.
And they bottled up Will Shipley pretty well.
Yeah, they were in the game. Like, they competed. It's just the 2 turnovers. That's what it is, and not be able to score in the red zone. The missed field goal as well.
Yeah, the pick 6 that's when it was over.
Oh, yeah.
You could literally see the lifeblood drain out of that North Carolina team when that happened. And, those type plays, but Clemson makes those type plays, and Carolina's got to learn how to make them. I think what Clemson did, and a lot has been made of Mac saying they didn't prepare for the backup quarterback and all that. Clemson runs the same offense. He just doesn't stink at it like DJU did. I don't even want to butcher his name, but DJ's first couple passes were like, this dude doesn't even want to be here.
He's shot putting them.
Why was Cade not playing the whole season, at least after 2 or 3 games? Good Lord.
Well,
he played 8 games.
He played enough, but I really think
Mac's comments were a little jarring.
I really think that Dabo ruined an opportunity to be playing in the playoff by sticking with DJU way too long. And there was no way in hell he was going to do that in ACC championship. He wasn't going to cost him an ACC championship because I think Carolina wins if he plays the full game. Without question. But everybody said, he's going to stick with this guy. He's going to stick with this guy. Well, Dabo's not stupid. And, so Carolina they were there, but, you have to play perfect. Carolina is a team that has to play perfect against a team like Clemson, and they're not there yet. And it's not talent. There's some talent issues, but it's a lot of other things that should not be issues that I think that are still issues. So
it would have been interesting if they could have scored there in the third quarter to make it a 1-score game. You put some game pressure on them. I'm not saying that if Carolina gets in there, they win the ACC championship, but it would have been that, as you guys said, effectively ended the game. It was over at that point, but it would have been interesting to see if they make it 24-17 and just what happens. Maybe Klubnik screws up a little bit, or runs himself into a turnover or something like that. But obviously didn't happen.
Yeah, Clemson's good. People seem to forget that, and that defense is nasty. And they were all over Drake May, as was NC State, and as was Georgia Tech. So
see a little bit different level of talent there, and they brought the pressure. I was up there sitting next to Adam, like, bringing six, and then Trenton Simpson, man, he had that speed that they hadn't seen on the edge at the outside linebacker position, chasing down the running backs, chasing down Drake.
A lot of Charlotte guys out there too. Now that it's like Charlotte guys on both sides making plays.
Yeah, and they tackled. That's the biggest thing, and that's what Jason talked about in the day after. Is Carolina had some plays that have gone for long yardage against other teams, but they got tackled. Drake got tackled on a play that he probably scores if he steps through a tackle. Antoine Green gets tackled on 3rd and 9.
It was a crosser. Ross and I were talking about crosser to Antoine Green. If he steps out of that tackle, he runs for a long time.
Well, and he also dropped the fade in the end zone. That should have touched. I'm not sure if they scored on that drive or not.
That was the Nate Wiggins breakup, wasn't it? Nate Wiggins was one of the first plays. Nate Wiggins
kick a field goal. They missed the field goal on that one, or kick a field goal.
Yeah, got it blocked.
That dude made some money. Number 20 for Clemson.
He was everywhere.
He certainly was. So Carolina, what's going to be interesting to me is see this bowl game here. How do they treat the bowl game? And and they've got to win it somehow, some way. I don't think ultimately it matters, but
Not going to have Josh Downs probably.
Look, if I'm him, I'm already gone. But you got to do what you got to do there. But the bottom line is they got a ton of other players that can step up.
That sets the stage for who, Adam?
Yeah, where's that question?
Yeah, I had that start earlier.
Kobe Paysauer. Paysor.
Don't forget about him.
Oh, that's your guy, right? What number is he, Adam?
Number 8.
Okay,
number 8 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
Just making sure. I mean, they've got enough people to make a difference there, and so we'll see. But Mac painted himself into a corner by putting all the eggs in the ACC championship and not pulling it out. So it's going to be interesting to watch over the next month, see how this program changes, and then see what happens, after the first of the year. Any other questions, John, that we need to cover on football?
I mean, I think it's important to discuss the transfers that UNC is going after, but I would follow the Don stuff on the boards. I mean, just think about what they need. I mean, my intel is they're going out. They got some wide receivers. They're going to, I think, try to go after top wide receivers, but they need cornerbacks. I think they need an edge rusher, maybe a safety. What else? But check out Don's. It seems like Don's posting stuff almost every day about who they're going after in the transfer portal as they try to wrap up the 2023 class as well.
I thought our guy Zachary Small on the comments made a good comment a while back. I was scrolling way back about, I mean, none of those running backs got in the portal. I don't know. That kind of surprised me when Ross was talking earlier about, they were able to maybe miss some bullets there. But I thought it was a good point that he made, Zachary Small. I mean, you look at the depth chart over here. I mean, it's a lot of names.
It does show, though, too, you would have picked Elijah Green as maybe the guy to go into the portal before the season started, right? And he ended up having the best season.
He may
be running backs.
Maybe RB1.
Yeah.
Next
also, they let him in rushing.
Tommy, I hear Ben in the background. He's ringing the bell. He wants an ad read here at the 9:45 mark on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, y'all mentioned Don Callahan's stuff on the Inside Carolina premium message boards. Well, you know what you get when you're a premium message board subscriber. What do you get, Adam?
10% off a Johnny T-shirt.
10% off your Johnny T-shirt order, and they've got all sorts of swag that you need. It's Christmas time, folks. I was up in Chapel Hill today. There's plenty in store for you to get for your friend, your homie lover friend, your family, your kids, your aunts and uncles, grandpappies and grandmommies. Anything you need at Johnny T-shirt, jerseys, NIL stuff, Christmas ornaments. Probably got 10 of those on the tree. Get it there at Johnny T-shirt, johnnytshirt.com. Take care of them. They take care of us, and they're wonderful folks. And it never, ever hurts to support local businesses. And they have been around forever in Chapel Hill, and they're that way because you guys support them. 10% off your order. Get that code off the Inside Carolina Premium message boards. Let them know you're Inside Carolina Premium subscriber to hook you up. Ross.
Yeah, I mean, to add on that, I mean, this is a huge time for local businesses, Christmas time, so make sure you support them, and you can get all your Christmas shopping done at one-stop shop there. This is probably the last Blue Shark Vodka read. The Calling the Shots, the last show was on Monday, so the sponsorship, I guess, kind of ends with Blue Shark Vodka, smoothest vodka in the world. Check it out this holiday season, accessible price point, available in all 100 counties. Blue Shark Vodka. We appreciate Connor Barth and the people at Blue Shark Vodka for their support of Inside Carolina, of Calling the Shots, of On the Beat, and of the Scoop podcast. Have been a great sponsorship. It's been a good deal between Connor Barth, former UNC kicker, and, of course, Inside Carolina. We'll get some national ads in right now, and we'll be right back with more On the Beat.
Welcome back in On the Beat Live. 9:46 already. Good gracious.
A lot of football talk.
Time flies when I'm talking to you guys. Let's talk basketball. Carolina is struggling a little bit. They have dropped 4 straight. Really thought that they had maybe gotten out of the funk watching that Virginia Tech game. Adam, were you there? Were you in Blacksburg covering? Who's covering?
Know it, baby.
Was there any sense in that building that Carolina could win that game? Because it did not.
Virginia Tech faithful?
In the building at all. Did anybody? Did Carolina seem threatening? Once upon a time, Carolina go into a building and they're going to steal brownies and everything else from in there. early in the game, at least until they were down 18, I didn't get any sense that anybody was even had any fear of North Carolina there, and that's different. What'd you see?
Well, yeah. I mean, well, when I walked in the building, Armando Bacot was getting loose, and I was like, "Oh, he's going to play." So then I was like, "Well, DeMarco Dunn is not out there. What is going on with that? That's strange." And then it sort of all unraveled from there. But yeah, they got down 18. I'm not sure. I saw someone the other day say that it's okay. Virginia Tech is a top 3 ACC team. What does that mean? What the hell is that? So that means Duke, Virginia, and Carolina are not in the top 3. Like, I'm not sure how good Virginia Tech is. I love Mike Young as a coach. I love Justin Mutz. He's a great player. Padula's fine. But Hunter Couture can stroke it. But I'm not sure how good of a team that was that UNC lost to. With that said, they were down 18 in the second half, and they did cut it to 3. And if Caleb Love makes a free throw after he got fouled on the steal there in the backcourt, it's down to 2. But I don't know. I have got a lot of numbers here if you guys want to hear them. I had a little radio appearance in Raleigh earlier today, and I had looked up some things. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. Carolina is in the 300s in assists this season. They're 327 starting today. There's 352 teams in Division I. Carolina's 327.
Who do you have the rankings? I'd love to see who's below. There's probably people like
NCAA.com.
6 assists against Virginia Tech.
They have more. Carolina has more turnovers than assists on the season. 3-point shooting. Carolina is 306 out of 352. Only 4 teams score less percentage of their points. 3-point distribution. They are legitimately one of the 5 worst in the nation. But it's the first week of December, and that can change. It wasn't looking the greatest last year at this time.
I got you, Tommy. Assist percentage. UNC is sandwiched between North Carolina A&T and Fairfield out of the MAAC conference, the MAC. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Mid-Atlantic, maybe?
Hey, so
Mid-Atlantic Athletic, I think.
Adam, what's the deal with this team? Like, what I haven't really talked to you about it. I mean, what do you think is the issue right now? Because we have a little bit of a sample size now. They played some good teams. They've lost every good team they played, or every Power 5 team they played. What do you think the issue is?
I can take it a whole bunch of different ways. I mean, I think they should have beaten Iowa State and Alabama. They were up, 7 coming down the stretch of regulation in both of those games. They should have closed those games out, and they should have won those games. I think Indiana took it to them. It was a tough situation. That was a rowdy environment. I think Indiana's a good team. Armando gets hurt in the first 3 minutes. Oh, by the way, no one is scared of Pete Nance in the post. When Armando went out, they went right after Pete Nance with TJD, Trace Jackson Davis down low. They were not bothered by him one bit. Hubert, if you listen to Hubert, he says that teams are defending their ball screens differently and not allowing Caleb and RJ to get into the lane and collapse the defense and shoot the runner or dish it to Armando for a dunk. I think they're kind of lost. Like I have written down on my trusty pad over here, lost, unenthused, I wrote down the other day. Like we've seen it, we've talked about it, we've written about it. I mean, they're not getting a lot of ball movement. I said it to Hubert the other day, Ross, when you were doing a great job taking care of the football stuff in Charlotte, that they don't score any easy baskets. Like every basket they score, it's like hard. I asked that to Hubert. I was like, do you guys track easy baskets? And he said, yeah, we had one at Indiana, just one on an inbound dunk to Armando. So I think the problems are many. And I think they need to get healthy. They need to get some wins, and they need to try to get the ball movement going. I mean, it's just too much standing around. It's too stagnant.
Adam, along those same lines, take us in the locker room after the Virginia Tech game. You get to go in the locker room in road games. The prevailing sentiment, it felt like after the first few games when they underperformed against some of the lesser competition was, oh, we're rusty. This is no big deal.
Right.
Do you sense a little bit of doubt seeping into some of the answers to the questions you're posing them after games?
What's kind of amazing is if you go on like our YouTube channel and the videos that I've posted from Indiana and Virginia Tech, the faces on Caleb Love and RJ Davis, right before you click the video to get them started. I mean, that tells it all right there. Like these guys are highly, highly, highly aware of everything. What did Caleb say last year? We hear everything. You know, they had a group chat where they put everything. I did a huge story about it. They put everything in the group chat, negative, you know, that they could use to fuel them. Every article, everything they saw, put it in the group chat. They hear everything. They are aware that they're the first number one team to nosedive out of the top 25 this quickly. They're aware of that. I mean, RJ's and those guys said championship or bust before the start of the season, which I think does not look like a great statement right now. But if you listen to Hubert, Happy Hubert, he believes that they could turn it around. And they certainly have plenty of time to turn it around. I think they certainly have the talent to do it. But this hasn't been very confidence inspiring, and they feel it. You know, they feel the weight of what everyone expects.
Looking at the NCAA stats, since y'all introduced me to another website, field goal attempts on the season these are game stats, individual game highs, field goal attempts. Caleb Love leads the nation with 36. Wright State, Northern Kentucky, NIU, Southern Utah guys are less. Look, minutes, and I understand that it was a 4 overtime game, but Caleb Love's played the most. Leaky Black played the third most, and RJ Davis the fourth most in a game this season. Armando Bacot with the most rebounds. I think John Henson, and Ross, you can get in on this, even though you've been on the football more than the basketball is. Did y'all hear what John Henson said?
I did not.
John Henson said you cannot play pro-style offense without pros. And that's what I see. Nobody respects Pete Nance. They're running Bacot with the high screens, whereas last year they ran a lot of that with Manic. And Manic could step out and hit a three or roll to the basket. And that's the difference for me. Pete Nance should be the guy shooting more threes, but nobody respects that offense, and they don't have to defend it really, because the way they call charges in college basketball, and obviously the circle doesn't matter anymore, or at least it didn't the other night. You know, I just think it's a bad sign. I think the Carolina offense has got to go through Bacot on the post every time. Mm-hmm. Under no circumstances should Bacot be 35 feet from the basket.
Adam, do we have any update on him from what your perspective on when he's to come back? Like, you talked to him. I know we read what you wrote.
Yeah, I thought that was cool that we got to talk to him. I guess nobody told us not to. You know, they opened the locker room. I went straight for him. I think he was surprised to see people talking to him since he didn't play. But I mean, I don't have an update. I mean, Armando said he had not practiced from the time he got hurt, Indiana, which was last Wednesday night, until Sunday afternoon in Blacksburg. He hadn't practiced. He said he couldn't because it was too stiff. You know, he's doing this. It's too stiff.
Yeah.
It's too stiff.
Bruised shoulder. I mean, you would think maybe just rest, 5 days rest here, and he can be ready for Georgia Tech. We'll see.
So what Tommy said, I think Pete Nance is fine offensively. He's fine offensively. That's going to be okay. I mean, he's just not what Brady Manick was, and I think that'll be okay. They just need to get some more shots to go in from Caleb Love and RJ Davis. I mean, they got to make some more shots.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, I think you got to Armando, just feed him and let him dominate, and then you got to hit shots. And they just haven't had the same shots from Caleb and RJ. They haven't been shooting well at all. And then, assists, easy baskets, get out in transition, get the offense cooking, like move it around. Just basic basketball. It just doesn't seem they're playing well. I was surprised that Puff didn't play as much against Virginia Tech. I mean, he played 12 minutes. You have Tyler Nickel playing 25 minutes, and Puff had 0 points. I mean, I think Puff is a great player.
What
happened there? Yeah, what happened about that?
I missed why I got mad at him, but I saw him taking him out, and he was giving him an earful when he took him out, and he didn't come back in after he took him out. I don't know if it was a missed box out. I don't know what he missed, but he got mad at him, and so he was in the doghouse the rest of the day.
Yeah, he played 1 minute in the second half.
Yeah, he was pissed at him.
And
that's very interesting.
I mean, I love what Puff Johnson can because he adds, a long, athletic guy who can defend. He gets his nose in there and rebounds. And on Pete Nance, I do like his little. He's got a little turnaround jumper. He hits off the glass. It's been nice. He can score. He's just different than Brady Manick. But I'll say this last year, and I know people love Leaky Black, and everybody loves him. Leaky Black, he's great, best defender in the nation. He's not a threat on offense, and he wasn't much of a threat last year. He's not much of a threat this year. I think he had 0 points against Alabama. He had 2 against Virginia Tech. I mean, when you're small forward, you're 6'8", fifth-year senior small forward is taking 2 or 3 shots, 2 points, 4 points. I mean, that's just a guy they don't have to worry about. And that changes your offense when he's just not a threat. I mean, dude, drive the basket. You're tall, you're athletic, you're big. Like, he just needs to be more aggressive because I think he has it in him to be kind of to score in the paint a little bit more.
Leaky
Yeah,
has
the
gotten into the
irony.
tendency of taking some really bad 18-footers. I don't know if you've noticed that, John, to where I don't know why he steps a foot or two inside the line and he's taking like a fading, legs splayed out. I don't know what he's doing there, but he's getting into this Dexter Strickland mode of taking a like 17-footer.
Christian Keeling, too. Long twos. Remember him?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What did Rick Pitino say the worst shot was?
Long two, right?
He
Like
sure
a
did, Tommy.
19-foot
Good one.
two-pointer. And he'd bench you if you did that. My thing is, and Sherelle and Sean and Joey on the Coast to Coast podcast, if folks that are in this chat have not listened to that, Sherelle and Sean lay it out. But you cannot have your guards shooting more threes than Armando Bacot gets shots. That can't happen. And so we agree that the offense needs to run through Bacot, but I think Nance needs to shoot more. I mean, Nance has some issues on defense, but when he decided to start going off, he made some shots. And that's one thing Manic did last year is Manic didn't care. He was letting it go. And if he goes 1 for 10 or 2 for 10, so what? But Nance and Bacot with 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 shots while your guards are shooting that many threes is just a losing formula, especially when they're shooting 25%. So there are a lot of issues, but I do think, Sean and Sherelle lay it out better than I can. And a lot of people are shouting out Tyler Nickel. And I think Tyler Nickel can be pretty good, but defense is an issue with Nickel, at least from what I saw. And that is the biggest thing to me. And we could talk about this. And Adam, I want you to comment on this because the defense I thought would be the strength of this team, especially early in the season when they came out and played a little bit of defense. They looked like they were like Justin Mutz is a decent player, but that dude looked like he was doing anything he wants. And I just don't understand how that happens and that continues to happen. It's been an issue keeping people in front of them, the guards, for 3 years now. But some of the effort on defense and some of the effort on rebound is just brutal. And if I'm Hubert, that's where I'm blowing people up. All of them. If I'm going to pull Puff for something, then I'm going to pull Caleb for something or RJ for something. I mean, I don't think there can be – somebody in the chat said there's different leash lengths for everybody. Defense, Adam, where you at?
Well, I think not to put a magic eraser on this, I think Armando cleans up some of that, like the Mutz drives, just by his length and just by his size and just by his rim protecting. I mean, Armando never be confused for Dikembe Mutombo in terms of shot blocking, but I think he bothers a lot of those shots and he gets a lot of those rebounds too. He cleans up a lot around there in terms of the Mutz. Well, I mean, all these twisting drives, he looked great. Pete Nance couldn't keep him in front of him. But yeah, I mean, I just think here I psychoanalyze everything with this team. I feel like those missed shots from Caleb and RJ bleed over to the other end. It's what coaches talk about. You can't let a missed shot affect you on the defensive end. I think this team just really needs to have some good things start happening again and start feeling good about itself again.
How's Georgia Tech?
Terrible.
They're not good at all. They're very bad.
Okay, there you go.
I was going to say, too, about offense and shooting. Ross, you referenced Leaky Black. Other than Seth Trimble, who's 1 for 1, Leaky actually has the highest three-point percentage on the team at 38.9%, which I think is a bad sign.
How many shots has he taken?
He's taken 18 threes compared to 61 for Caleb Love. So that shows some of the imbalance there, too. But when I look at this team, I think this is a team that is not greater than the sum of its parts. It's a lot of times it's the parts taking turns going individual one-on-one basketball. I felt like early in the second half, especially, it was just sort of players taking turn one-on-one.
Yeah, they gave
Um,
up early in the second
yeah,
half.
and I
How about
think a big piece of it too is a lot of horizontal movement, horizontal ball movement, horizontal cutting, rather than sort of vertical attacking the basket, cutting towards the basket, even passing towards the basket. It feels like there's just a lack of that with this offense. And, maybe that'll change a little bit more once Armando is back in and you can throw it into him. But teams have also been doubling
Yes.
Armando in the post, and he hasn't handled that very well all season long. So I don't think it's as simple as just sort of throwing it to him in there. There's a lot of problems with this Carolina
Armando gets
basketball
into
team.
those times in the post where he starts going hard one way, and he's spinning
Mhm.
back the other way. You feel the spin move, and the defense is there waiting for that spin move, and then a turnover happens or something. They're going the other way.
I like Seth Trimble in there as a defender, and I think he's been positive. I'd like to see more Puff. I was good to see Dontrez play more. He didn't do much, but I just think he's a player that I hope he just doesn't transfer. And then when Nickel's in there, I'd love to see him shoot more. I mean, you're in there to shoot, pull it. I
It's
want to see him go
interesting.
off.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. Well, he did shoot one, and I don't think it came within 5 feet of the basket. So, I mean, but I do look, no fear, shoot it up. But it gets me is teams double Armando and they have success with it. Carolina doubles the post and it ends up in a
Yep.
wide open three.
Yep.
And you
Yeah. Did you
cannot
see the way
double the
Indiana
strong
passed out
side.
of the double teams? Yeah.
I mean, it's just like you can't help off your guy and leave your guy standing right there on the same side. I mean, that is brutal defense. Carolina, 79.5 points ish per game. Dead last in the ACC, though, with points given up per game at almost 76.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I think this team lacks a knockdown shooter. Caleb, but he's not really like that. He's not really a catch and shoot guy. He creates his own shot. They're missing the Brady Manick, Corwin Walton type guy. Who else? Justin Jack, guys that could just knock it down. They don't have anybody like that. Wayne Ellington's a great example. Rashad McCants. But like Puff Johnson's not that. Pete Nance is not really that. Caleb Love's probably the best 3-point shooter they have. And he's more of creator, the ball handler, and driver. They don't have a guy that can get out in the corner, knock it down. Like if Nickel could be that, that'd be huge. But see,
I'm shocked we got a Kerwin Walton reference on tonight's podcast.
Ross loves.
He was good his freshman year, man.
He was.
I mean, he could shoot.
He won the College of Charleston game for him last year.
Then he just disappeared.
They, I mean, this team's got some issues, but let's be honest. They were the same issues that they had last year, this time of the year, and we'll see if it get worked out. They got hot for 6 weeks last year. We'll see if that can happen again. Anything else? Basketball, football, or anything related, fellas?
Not to get all doom and gloom, but let me tell you, they played Georgia Tech Saturday. After that, there's 3 non-conference games left. The Citadel, Ohio State, Michigan. They need to beat Ohio State and Michigan badly in terms of their postseason resume.
Quad wins, right?
They're going to be in the same boat they were last year if they aren't able to win a few games. They did beat Michigan last year, which they clung on to that win forever. But they need to beat this Ohio State in New York, Michigan, and Charlotte, 2 neutral site games. They absolutely do not need to lose to Georgia Tech, of course, but those games they are going to need.
Yeah, you beat Georgia Tech this weekend, then Citadel, and then it is Ohio State in Madison Square Garden. I'll be there as a fan.
Wow.
Adam will be there covering it. And then Ohio State, right? Is that the next?
No, you got it.
Wednesday.
No, you'll be there for Ohio State.
And then Michigan the next Wednesday.
There you go.
21st,
Michigan and Charlotte, right? Yeah.
New York at Christmas, Ross? Solo trip there to see the Big Apple?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be with a female friend as well. I wasn't offered to cover it. I wanted to cover it, but wasn't given that. So I'm going up. I've never been to Madison Square Garden. It'll be a bunch of heels up there. I got a bunch of friends coming up as well. I want to give Adam props. Adam has been filming his own press conferences now, filming his own interviews and uploading to YouTube. It was a long process, but Indiana was his first one, and then Virginia Tech was the second one. And so we've the baby bird, we've kind of let him out into the wilderness now to film press conferences by himself, which was the last step. to get him fully acclimated.
Look at him turning red, man. He's giving you
Digital
props,
world.
and you getting all
Ross
red on the
deserves.
YouTube
I still
channel.
haven't stopped sweating. I am wet over here. Ross
And-
deserves all the credit. I'm serious. He taught me literally step by step. I had no idea what I was doing. He's taught. I said, Ross, I still in my ear hear you saying next, like when you're uploading to YouTube.
John's the YouTube master. And then because of what Adams did, we're giving him the Citadel game off. And I am taking the lead beat writing role for the Citadel game. How about that?
You'll do great.
We need
Citadels
that.
in the Southern Conference. If you
I gotta write the instant analysis. I haven't written one in like 2 years.
Yeah, we need the instant analysis like 10 seconds after the horn hits.
Yeah, those things are stressful, man. Adam's good at writing that.
That is
Those are
hilarious.
stressful. I mean, that's awful. Get your X's set up in there, Ross.
That's
The
right.
Tar Heels defeated the Citadel XX to XX, and you're good to go.
Boys, y'all are crazy. Anything left, John Bauman?
We should just make it a all the way bad podcast. We should shout out the women's soccer team, and they
Oh.
fought really hard
my
last
gosh.
night.
Dude, that
Dude.
was brutal.
Yeah.
That was up there with Villanova.
Oh,
That was as bad as it gets.
God.
And I watched every second of it, and I'm sitting there thinking they're going to win a national championship, and then that happens.
they were up 2-0, right? Late.
16 seconds left.
2-1 with 16 seconds left,
Yeah.
and UCLA scored on the. They kind of elbowed the goalie into the goal and then kicked it in.
They mauled
Oh,
her.
God.
But
I
it
bet
was
that's
a-
what-
Tommy
they-
asked the tweets on that. Covering soccer.
Yeah, we got to ask you something, Tommy. We've noticed what is up with all the spaces in your tweets.
What are you talking about? I don't even know what you mean. Let me look.
Like
Hold
you
on.
Look
go.
at your tweets. There's extra spaces usually, Tommy.
I don't know
Yeah.
what you mean. Like in what I actually tweet.
Yeah, go to.
I gotta look as well.
Go to most of them. You hit like the space bar like 3 or 4 times between.
Maybe people on the
sentences.
chat can chime in too. I'm sure they're big Tommy Ashley fans. If they've
Oh.
ever noticed Tommy with extra spacing.
Oh, I'm still on the old typewriter type deal, right? You know, you put 2 spaces after things and all that, which
Mhm.
show my.
It's
But I
more
do
than
back
2.
them out. If I push closely to the limit in characters, I back out those things. But I still use an old typewriter with the thing that you slide across. So.
I think he's just pressing space twice after a period. I think I've seen that people do that before. I'm defending you, Tommy.
That's what I
I mean,
do. I definitely.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's more than 2 spaces.
Yes, no, it's
It
not.
looks like you hit a tab. Do you have a tab bar to tab over there? You hit your tab.
Yeah, it's like a tab. It's like 4 or 5
Damn, the
spaces.
content, boys. The content, not the grammar and the. This is not stylistic tweeting.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. We're just
Yeah,
wondering.
Tommy, I love your tweets. I mean, I'm seriously do. We just had noticed the spacing. We're wondering what was up with that. Maybe it was
I've learned to put my phone down.
I've got one last thing. Fun question to end the night here. Hypothetical scenario. How would you have reacted? I'm at the game this past Saturday night. The Clemson fan behind me
God.
essentially spills something on my jacket. Do you confront the Clemson fan? Do you make them pay for a new jacket? Do you just chalk it up to a loss? Tommy, how would you handle that?
Well, I need some more context here because if he's
they
being a
spill?
butthole, and
What
it's
they spill?
yeah, what was it?
It was an alcohol-related casualty. I'm not going to go into specifics, but it was the
Spell it
jacket.
out, John. We're all grown-ups here.
The jacket was toast. I lost a jacket to someone throwing up on my jacket.
Oh, you had to throw it away.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so he
Threw
didn't
up on it.
spill it; he threw up on it.
So what do you
Oh,
do?
then-
Do you confront the person?
That
Yeah, see, I
changed
thought
it
it was a
completely.
drink.
Yeah.
Do you confront the person? Do you just chalk it up to a loss? I'm curious.
How much is the jacket?
It was a nice jacket, North Face.
Members only. I would have probably at least. Did he offer to pay for it, or was he out of it?
Pretty out of it. Oh, we lost Adam. We lost Adam.
I don't know. Was it Adam?
You got me on members only. I wasn't ready for it.
I'm not sure how I would have reacted. I'd have probably been a little ticked
I
off.
feel
but
like. Go ahead.
I would have had to survey the scene. Were you below him though? Because you never start a fight. You never low man in a fight. So you need to run up the steps and then start the fight. From
Tommy
above.
giving in stadium fighting advice. I love it. I'm sure you've been in a couple.
I have not, but I have seen plenty of them. Nobody wants to mess with me at games. And that's what gets me. People get so fired up on the message boards, and then we meet these people in public, and they're so nice. And it's like, you're the same guy that was cussing that other person on the. No.
Hey, John, how about that, John?
Look
Uh-oh.
at that.
I don't know
Free-
if Garrett's real or not there.
Free merch. Hey, there's
Look at that.
Wait a minute. I need a North Face coat.
The
No.
family takes care of you, Johnny.
I'm gonna sign an NIL deal with North Face, and that'll take care of it.
Yeah, really.
I feel like Tommy would act a little bit differently than John would have acted in that situation.
I probably would have said
Or
a few
Joey
choice words.
Powell.
Oh, God.
Joey got kicked out of the Duke game.
I didn't.
We
tell
gotta
him
end
that.
this podcast. We gotta
Yeah,
end
we
this
need to get out of
podcast
here.
now.
I am I'm a kumbaya, bring everybody together type thing, except the Miami guy that was sitting behind me. I mean, that dude was insufferable. But
The problem
anyway,
is the jacket ain't never coming back. Like, I mean, no matter what happens, the jacket's toast.
I'm not carrying that thing around either all night. I just chalked it up to loss. I will reach out to Garrett. We got to get out of here though before we get in any trouble.
Let's get Garrett's information, John.
I feel a Ben message coming to me. I'm gonna be in the penalty box after this one.
oh no, it's an interesting story. You didn't do anything wrong. You just at the game. Did you serve? Well, we'll talk later. I'll give you some more instructions on how to deal with it. Guys, it's been the On the Beat podcast live. It's 10:15-ish on Tuesday night. Getting a little loose there at the end. Great time though. We could get really loose. We could have some really fun shows. Might have to. The way the season's ended and are going, Tuesday nights could be very interesting. Ross Martin, Adam Smith, safe travels, my friends. We will talk soon. Johnny T-shirt, JohnnyT-shirt.com, North Face, and Blue Shark Vodka. Peace.